So friends, after Mr. Tarun Kumar, now I would like to invite Mr. Srikanth Viswanathan, CEO of Janaagraha, Center for Citizenship and Democracy. So can we have you, Srikanth? Yeah. Yes, welcome, Srikanth. So friends, Janaagraha works on combining the efforts of both the government and the citizens to transform our cities and ensure better quality of life by improving quality of urban infrastructure and services and quality of citizenship. So, Srikanth, we look forward to hearing what all the good work you've been doing. And maybe I think it will help and motivate the citizens also to come up and take up issues which are related to sustainable development. So we look forward to your presentation.
Thank you. Delighted to be here. I work with Janaagraha Center for Citizenship and Democracy, but I'm here to speak about a project of one of our sister organizations, Janaagraha, Jana Urban Space Foundation. At the Jana Group, across both Janaagraha Center for Citizenship and Democracy and Jana Urban Space Foundation, we seek to build trust between citizens and governments as a way to transform quality of infrastructure and services and to transform quality of citizenship. The project that I'm going to showcase here today is a great example of a partnership between civil society, government, and business to transform systems in urban India at scale. I'll begin with a short video which narrates the story of this project called Tender Sure, and then we'll speak about what lessons that holds for all of us in urban India. Can we play the video, please?
The road is actually the conduit for all the other networks which impact my quality of life. That's the underground network which is supposed to collect all the rainwater and prevent flooding. That's the one which brings in my water supply, power, data cables, etc. and carries out my sewage. So the road becomes this conduit which networks the entire city. But today the municipality comes and lays the road. We have multiple agencies waiting in the background. They seem to wait until the road is laid by the municipality, then come and dig it up, one by one by one. And so you're back to square one. That road nobody would believe was done 6 months ago. Einstein said insanity is doing the same thing over and over, but expecting a different result. Tender Sure fixes the design of the road itself, but also the design of the utility corridors. Every agency has been allocated a utility corridor with regular access chambers under the footpaths. No agency should dig the roads anymore. We started with saying no more of build poorly, cut repeatedly, rebuild poorly. Instead, let's aim for cut once and fix once and for all.
Tender Sure seemed to me a very good thing because for the first time we were looking at urban roads with much higher and better specifications which would be more sustainable.
This is change that people can see. It dramatically improves their quality of life. It improves the walkability, revitalizes their neighborhoods, improves safety and security. It just improves the experience of the streets.
I believe that urban India, at least as far as the roads and cities are concerned, should be a completely different picture if Tender Sure specifications and Tender Sure model becomes the basis for road making. I think it's a big leap forward.
People asked, why such wide footpaths? Why has the road surface reduced? Well, it's like Bernoulli's principle. If you put plenty of water in a wide funnel, it will still drip slowly at the pinched end of the funnel. So also if you let in 100 cars at the widest part of the road, but only 10 can go at the narrowest, we have not eased traffic, we've simply created a traffic jam. Our city roads are filled with such traffic jams. What we have done in Tender Sure is designed for the narrowest part of the road and given the rest for parking, bus space. It has dramatically improved the flow of traffic. And in spite of zero land acquisition, we have protected all the old trees in this project. We have provided space to accommodate the same number of street hawkers.
I'm working as a project coordinator in this project. So this project is first of its kind project in India, so which has really inspired us, and we have learned a lot of things from this project.
Essentially, TenderSure stands for Specifications for Urban Roads Execution. It is a design standard for city roads in India. It comes in, it is essentially a book. It comes in 2 volumes. The first volume has design specifications and drawings, and the second volume has a model contract or a model tender which governments can put out and invite contractors to come and build roads in those specifications. Some of the unique features of a TenderSure road are that besides the fact that it has a design standard which doesn't exist in India for urban roads, surprisingly, it has wide footpaths, all utilities, the 7 utilities of sewerage, water supply, power, gas, street lights, closed circuit television, and traffic cameras and stormwater drains are all taken under the footpaths with inspection chambers for every 100 meters. And there is a joint tender between all civic agencies, and no civic agency can cut open the road without the permission of the municipality for a 10-year period. It also has uniform lane widths, as was called out in the video. And this creates a completely different, a wholly positive user experience on roads, not just for motorists, but more importantly for pedestrians and cyclists, and pedestrians of all kinds, for children, for the differently abled, for the aged, etc., because there are tactile pavers, there are special pathways for the differently abled, etc. Now, essentially, this seems like a fairly easy thing to do, but for the first time in independent India, about 1,000 crores are being spent on 130 kilometers of roads across Bangalore, Nagpur, Hubli, Dharwad. Many other cities are emulating this, including Chennai most recently, to build TenderSure roads, because people are waking up to the reality of sustainable urban mobility, primarily of non-motorized transport. So let's now see what are the lessons that one can learn from the TenderSure project, which will make Bangalore, as you again saw in the video, one of the most walkable city centers. Not all of Bangalore. Bangalore has 10,000 kilometers of roads, but to begin with, Bangalore in the next year, year and a half will have the most walkable city center in all of India. Can we pull up the slides, please? For those of you who are from Bangalore, some of the TenderSure roads are St. Mark's Road, Richmond Road, Residency Road, Cunningham Road, Museum Road, etc. So if you've not already visited a TenderSure road or discerned it to be one, I'd invite those of you in Bangalore to certainly go to a TenderSure road and write back with what you feel. And for those of you who are not in Bangalore and still watching this, if you do come to Bangalore, then TenderSure roads are certainly one of the roads that you should visit. So I want to take you through the life cycle of large-scale systems change. India has always been known for a robust private sector. Our companies across different sectors have attained world-class standards, but we always rue the fact that governments are not doing enough. Here is an example of where governments actually have delivered. So what is the life cycle of large-scale systems change in India from the TenderSure story? Next. One is we have to identify the root cause. There is no escaping from it. We can't put lipstick on a pig. We can't just put patchwork and band-aids. We have to identify root causes for the challenges that we face. Next. And we have to evolve solutions for those root causes and not just band-aids or patchworks. Next. We have to identify champions outside of government who can essentially be ambassadors of the solution. Depending on what the solution is and what the problem is, sometimes we got to co-create or co-design the solution. Next. You have to obtain consensus on the solution with all these champions who are outside of government. Next. Most important, you have to create demonstration effect. You throw a stone in any direction in India and you hit a problem. Therefore, unless you prove that your solution actually works on the ground, it's very difficult to get buy-in from any sector in India, from any group of stakeholders, whether they are citizens or whether they are governments. So the first demonstration effect for TenderSure was created way back in 2012. And this is essentially Vittal Malia Road, which is in front of UB City. Next. Next. The next step is to identify champions in government to whom you can showcase the demonstration effect, to whom champions that you rallied from outside of government can actually speak to and convince them of the merit of government actually allocating its resources and mind space for an idea such as this. You did see one such champion in the video. Next. You have to continuously engage with governments, not just bureaucrats with whom many people from industry or outside of government may be more comfortable dealing with, but more importantly, political leaders as well from across parties. Next. Interestingly, in the case of TenderSure, it has gained bipartisan support with both the major political parties in Karnataka claiming ownership of TenderSure as a concept, which is fantastic. It was actually inaugurated and the first budgets were allocated under one chief minister, whereas it was inaugurated and scaled up under a different chief minister from a different political party. In all, there have been 4 chief ministers who have backed TenderSure and ensured that they push the envelope towards better urban mobility in Bangalore. The next step, after engaging with governments, is to get budgets allocated. No large-scale systems change in India can happen without budgets backing them, whether they are capital projects or they are revenue projects, because in a democracy, money can be spent by government only if they are budgeted. Next. And lastly, there is a need to closely engage with the implementation of the project, because not all interests will be aligned. Particularly, many of you may be able to imagine how a road project is highly sensitive from several interests and not all of them positive. And therefore, several efforts will be made to undermine the implementation of the project and thereby undermine the idea. Therefore, the progenitors of the idea, the people who actually mooted the idea, who care about the idea, have to closely engage with implementation. This is not a game for ideators. This is a game for practitioners. Large-scale systems change is a game for practitioners. You got to closely engage with implementation to ensure that there is no undermining of the idea, that the outcomes intended by the solution and the idea are completely met. And lastly, we have to engage with public opinion. None of the major decisions in a democracy, particularly in a fairly vibrant, sometimes chaotic democracy like India, and more particularly in cities which are extremely dense settlements with such heterogeneity as can only be seen in India, you cannot achieve large-scale systems change without engaging with public opinion. And the TenderSure example is instructive because when the project started, the roads were cut up for about 18 months. So nobody wanted TenderSure. And essentially what happened was people who had made some kind of construction outside their homes so that their cars could move onto the street easily, etc., they had to demolish them. And the grade was uniform across the street. So there were many complaints. However, once the final product was delivered or the final service was delivered, public opinion had completely changed, and there is in fact a clamor for tender sure roads in different neighborhoods. Therefore, the lessons that we learn from this life cycle of systems change in tender sure is that large-scale systems change is possible in India. Next. However, it can only happen through a partnership between politicians, bureaucrats, civil society, and business. In fact, tender sure itself originated from civil society, from Jana Urban Space Foundation and our supporters and partners. It was backed by business, by CII Karnataka, by the likes of Kiran Majumdar-Shaw, Chris Gopalakrishnan, the Bangalore Chamber of Industry and Commerce, etc. But ultimately it happened because bureaucrats and politicians saw the benefit in it and backed it. Next. It requires what we call is the practice of urgent patience. Urgency in efforts, but patience with results, because it takes time. Any such change takes time, particularly when it concerns public spaces. The tender sure concept was mooted in 2011. The first road was inaugurated in 2015, and we are now in 2020, almost a decade into tender sure, and we are still only into 130 kilometers of roads pan India. And lastly, we will have to relentlessly pursue systems thinking and doing. The fact that these are all interdependent problems, and tender sure is a solution not just for cars, it's a solution for air pollution. It's a solution for better bus transport in the city and therefore women's participation in the workforce and inclusive cities. It is a solution for kids getting access to public spaces because they're able to walk more safely on the streets. It's a solution for cyclists. So it's a systems solution. In a complex country like India, in a complex problem such as the urban problem in India, we will need systems thinking and system solution, and from a practitioner lens. So I hope there are lessons from tender sure that we are also able to transport to other sectors, and we look forward to more active support from business and industry in implementing better roads all over India the tender sure way. Thank you.